Good evening, and thank you so much for being part of Joy Asonye Live this evening. It's good to know you are right there watching us. Today we'll be analyzing the NDDC, that's the Niger Delta Development Commission's Appropriation Act of 2023. My guest today, a former presidential aide and a chieftain of the APC, has described the allocation of the 16 billion naira by the Niger Delta Development Commission for capital project in the 2023-2024 capital year as inadequate, unjust, unfair to Cross River State people. And that's what we'll be going into today. Why does he find it unjust? There are justifications that has been made in that regard. Does that suffice? Well, we'll get into that conversation. It promises to be interesting. But first, we'll go for a short break. When I return, I'll tell you who my guest is and why he's not happy about that development. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that. In the studio with me right now to talk about the NDDC Appropriation Act 2023 and what was given to Cross River State, especially is Obol, Okoi, Obon-Obla. So good to have you join us to speak about this very important. It seems very important to you. I mean, you've been all over the media condemning what you call paltry sum given to Cross River State. But first of all, miserable, yes. I mean, you just
paltry, both of them.
You have used several adjectives to describe it, and I know your blood is hot. Let's get to that. Why
Yes.
are you just not happy about what that amount that was given to them, especially as the National Assembly allocated about 876 billion naira to the NDDC?
900. It's more than that. It's about the total bill, total budget.
Right.
Yes, almost in trillions. And the budget for the projects in the states, some 900 billion.
Billion, yes.
Yes, and then Cross River State is giving a paltry, a miserable 16 billion. It's not the first time. They have been doing that over the years. In 2019, they gave 9,489,186,000, and so just let me just say 9 billion. In 2020, 12 billion. In 2013, 13 billion. 2021, 13 billion. 2022, 13 billion, and 2023, 16 billion.
Out of what? You are not telling us how out of what was gotten.
What was gotten? For instance, Abia got 11 billion in 2019. In 2020, Abia got 15 billion. 2021, 17 billion. 2022, I don't have the figures for 2022. But in Akwa Ibom got 38 billion.
Right.
In 2019.
Right.
Yes. Then in 2020, 42 billion. Then in 2021, 48 billion. And so forth and so on. So if you take that into account,
Cross River has always had
exactly. And what justification do they have? They claim Cross River State does not contribute anything to oil production in Nigeria. But let me say that is wicked, that is malicious, that is outrageous, and it's unconstitutional. We are not talking about derivation. We have derivation, 13% derivation, which all the oil producing states receive from the Federation account.
Right.
Yes. So, and all these states are now Akwa Ibom, Rivers,
Bayelsa, Delta, right.
And we don't, get anything. So they are now interpreting the NDDC Act as if it is in respect of the 13% derivation, because that is what they use. That is their computation. They use a 13% derivation which is not supposed to be the case. The 13% derivation is very clear. And if you go through the NDDC Act, the entire gamut of the NDDC Act, there is no provision justifying that. So where are we coming from? Where are they coming from? So it is just a capricious, arbitrary, and whimsical decision by our brothers and sisters in the Niger Delta, as if Cross River State is not part of the Niger Delta. The Niger Delta historically is in three parts: the Western Delta, the Central Delta, and the Eastern Delta. So Cross River State and Okoi form part of what we call the Eastern Delta, and a part of Abia, Abia State. Yes, they are the Eastern Delta, maybe Imo State. Okay, so it is unfair why our brothers, these same people who used to complain, oh, we are marginalized by the North, we are marginalized by the Southwest, and when it comes to our own, they are now marginalizing Cross River State, sidelining Cross River State, not showing any empathy, no compassion concerning the fate of Cross River State, as if the people who are in Cross River State are not Niger Deltans. The compassion I'm talking of is that Cross River State is oil producing. Yes, our oil is capped. We have a lot of oil wells that are capped and kept in the strategic national reserve.
Right. That
these oil wells will be used when the other parts of the country or delta, when they run out of crude oil, they will fall back to the reserve. And it's also for strategic emergency. Maybe we have a war in Nigeria and we need to produce more oil. They will open those oil wells, or they will uncap them. And then we have gas. We have one of the largest reserves of gas in Goja, in BSS local government area. So why is it that our Niger Delta brothers are maltreating Cross River State, are looking down on the people of Cross River State?
Could it be? I mean, I've also listened to people who try to justify the reason why what you call the paltry sum that Cross River State got, and if your contributions to that Cross River enjoy is not as much as others, it only makes sense that you will get the part for people or the state that has that quantity.
What I'm saying, that interpretation is screwed. Is capricious, is arbitrary and illegal, in the sense that it is not premised on any law. If there is a provision on the NDDC Act, that is the mother of everything, the source, the fountain of everything they do, is premised on that law. If there is nothing on that law to justify what they are doing, that means that what they have done is premised on nothing, and out of nothing comes nothing.
But Cross River State also have representatives. Why are we not hearing this from those representatives? Why are we not getting? I mean, the National Assembly. I'm not sure.
Well, all this while, let me tell you, I will even commend our new commissioner who has already taken office. From him, we became aware. Right Honorable Rock Duke, we became aware of this injustice, this blatant, flagrant injustice that they have been making to the people of Cross River State over the years. I've read the budget for the previous years. You have seen that some of the states take jumbo, votes or budgets, figures. Like Obon State in one particular year, 42 billion, in addition to what they have been receiving from the 13% derivation.
Right.
So maybe our former previous commissioners were disinterested or they lacked the passion, but the new commissioner has shown that he is the kind of person who will not, close his eyes, to that the kind of injustice we have seen. So we can't blame the commissioners. If you are in a room of 9 people and you are the only voice, what do you expect them to do?
But constitutionally, how do you seek redress in cases like this?
Well, it is left for the state. I'm a private person.
Just an activist.
I'm calling on the government of Cross River State to take this up. They should go to the government of Cross River State should go to court to seek for constitutional interpretation of Section 162. Sub 2 of the Constitution that talks about the oil producing states getting 13% derivation from the federation account. Then for the NDDC Act, the government of Cross River State should ask the court, whether there is any provision under the NDDC Act that justify the apartheid or the discrimination we have seen, where they have demonstrated against Cross River State interest. So they should tell us, the court should tell us. So if it is justifiable, if it is premised on the NDDC Act, because the NDDC Act talks about the equality of states. If you look at section 4, sub 1, Roman figure 1 to 9, it is very clear that the NDDC Act, the lawmaker, sees all the member states of NDDC as equal, irrespective of their contribution to crude oil production in Nigeria. So, and Cross River State is listed number 4 under section 4 as an oil producing state.
Right.
Yes. So we have not been delisted. If Cross River State is not a member of the Niger Delta Development Commission, they should delist Cross River State from the law. As long as Cross River State is in that law, we are entitled to what every other member state enjoys at this par, at the same level.
But when you look at the list and the amount, it's not at par. I mean, considerations are made.
Yes.
And it's not one cap fits all. Yes. There's a certain amount that went to
wrong. That's what they should do. That's what I expect the management of NDDC to do.
But what do you think? What do you think they consider to give this amount?
They just look down on Cross River State. They say, oh, we used to have oil. We have 76 oil wells, but the case Nigeria had with Cameroon affected those oil wells. Those oil wells were taken to Akwa Ibom State. So we lost those oil wells. So they are working on that premise, that mindset that we lost those 76 oil wells, we no longer have oil. But that is fallacious. It's a fallacy. It is a blatant fallacy.
No, I'm not even talking about Cross River right now. I'm talking about the fact that the amounts are not equal for all states. It's not.
I don't know. An issue has them. They should tell us the perimeter
for measuring.
Yes.
Who gets.
So why are you giving Akwa Ibom 42 billion? You give Abia 10 billion. You give Imo 11 billion. Cross was 9 billion. They should tell us the perimeter. So if you don't tell us, I will say that all these allotments over the years are illegal, and the state governments, Akwa Ibom, or the badly affected states are Cross River, Abia, and Imo State. They should go to court and seek for judicial interpretation of the relevant provisions of the NDDC Act.
Okay, so who do you think? I mean, you've just talked about the states that you call that are being discriminated on.
Yes.
Now, who do you think they are finding it important enough to go ahead and do this? But for you, you've been a lone voice in the call.
Yes.
I haven't even heard any other person call for this.
Well, it's one thing we are in our country. Unfortunately, people don't talk. People don't protest. You don't need to march on the streets to protest, but you can protest quietly by talking, by taking on the people who are responsible for the injustice. That is what we don't do in our country. There's a lot of injustices, and you don't wait for government, to address some of these injustices. What of the Federal Character Commission? The Federal Character Commission is supposed to address this kind of imbalance, low-sidedness we are seeing. It is not only in terms of projects, scholarship. NDDC awards scholarship to young people to go abroad and study, postgraduate. Do
you think that imbalance?
Yes. In last year, 2022, NDDC awarded 250 scholarships at master's level. Do you know the number that was given to Cross River State? 4 out of 250. 4. Okay, let's go to employment. Cross River State has a population of 5 million. The only 92 cross riverians are working in NDDC. Out of that 92, Bayelsa has over 600, Rivers over 800, Akwa Ibom over 1,000, Delta, so forth and so on. Cross River State has only 92. They don't even promote people from Cross River State. They using this so-called 13% derivation to deny deserving staff of NDDC from Cross River State from being promoted, no matter how competent or brilliant they are. So you can see it's an institutionalized discrimination against Cross Riverians or the states, Cross River State, and it is not done. It's not constitutional, because if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, it says everybody should be treated equally. No gender discrimination, ethnic discrimination, religious discrimination, and so forth and so on. So when you begin to, in an organization, an institution that is set up to intervene, in the affairs of NDDC and provide succor to the oil producing states, then you begin to discriminate. We are always affected by the oil spillage. Right. Oil spillage always affects Cross River State. The ecosystem of the Niger Delta is almost interwoven. The ecosystem is interwoven. That's why they call it Niger Delta Basin. So all the areas from western Ondo right to Cross River State boundary with Cameroon, we are always affected by oil spillage. And this NDDC money is supposed to ameliorate ecological challenges faced by the states producing oil. So if you say we are not producing oil, but what of the damage that is done? Exactly. You have a case here. I find it difficult not to notice this malicious act on Cross River State. However, I'm surprised too. I need to go back to why no one has said anything over the years. It seems like representation from compromise. The Cross Riverians are our leaders in Cross River State, our legislators, because this budget was tabled before the House of Representatives. So I don't know why Cross River State. We have 8 members of 8 members in the House of Assembly. Why they didn't see? I don't know if they didn't see this budget, or they didn't see the budgets or the allotment to Cross River State over the years. At least let's start from 2019, which I have read out the figures to you. It's just outrageous that nobody has seen them, but we have seen them. So since we have pointed out these issues, we have drawn the attention of the authorities, the NDDC, the National Assembly, the Presidency. This issue has to be looked into. We cannot wallow under the impression of this. We have acquiesced over the years to all this outrageous allocation, but we have seen it now, and we want to fight it out. And I'm not just talking about allocation. I've spoken about scholarship. I've spoken about employment. I've spoken about promotion. Even appointment of executive directors. No Cross River in when was NDDC founded? Almost 23 years of the existence of NDDC. No Cross Riverian has been appointed executive director. I know the management of NDDC is made up of the MD, the executive directors, and the heads of the different directorates. So that is where the power is. No Cross Riverian has been appointed executive director in 23 years. With this same mindset of, Cross River State has no oil. Even when Cross River State had oil 23 years ago, exactly. and we had that. It was just about 2013. Yes. The Supreme Court said because of the case Nigeria had with Bakassi, Cross River State, we have lost our oil west to Okoi State. I don't agree with that judgment, but you see, it's a judgment of the Supreme Court. It has to be complied with, but the National Assembly can intervene and alter that judgment, because if the Supreme Court gives judgment, you cannot appeal to another court. Okay, you can only appeal to God, but the National Assembly can make law to alter the judgment of the Supreme Court in this regard, something that concerns Nigerians, something that has to do with Nigeria. Cameroon went to court against us, and a part of the country was affected badly. Okay, so we lost some territory to Cameroon. We also lost oil wells, and Cross River State lost the status of a littoral state. So that is it. So that should interest the National Assembly and do something to ameliorate the conditions, the pitiable condition of Cross River State. Cross River State is really under a lot of stress.
Okay, we'll come back and talk about how Cross River is under a lot of stress, but it's time to go for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that break, where we're discussing the analysis of the NDDC allotment of resources. My guest believes that the 13% derivation principle has no bearing on the sharing templates developed by the NDDC management and is therefore unconstitutional. According to him, some people are justifying the flagrant injustice, glaring imbalance and lopsidedness in the politics of who gets what and how the distribution of resources among the member states of the Niger Delta Development Commission on the quota of oil produced by each other. He has also reiterated that this is not in the law. According to the Constitution, everyone should get equal cut. But I would like to just start with, why do you think that is? The Constitution did not consider what contribution the state is giving. I would say personally that it should make sense that you should look at what the state is contributing, but the Constitution did not include that.
You see, the oil producing states are part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so we cannot be. That is not the resources the federal government is getting. The government at the center is getting. People pay tax. People pay VAT. Is it VAT tax? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and some states produce food that is exported, cocoa. Even Cross River State is a cocoa producing state, palm oil, and so forth and so on. So oil is not the real resources. So the government cannot begin to be paying every state that contributes. They do. That is why at the end of the month they will put all what we have collected on a pool and say, okay, oil producing states, because we are producing oil, you are suffering, ecological challenges. Take 13%, so and so forth and so on. So the Constitution has done enough. We are talking about NDDC. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. The Constitution is fair by giving 13%. Previously, there was nothing like that. In the 1979 Constitution, there was nothing like that. But in the 1999 Constitution that is in operation, there is Section 162 sub 2. So that is enough. I don't think the oil producing states should be so glutinous. You want to take all the food. That will not over well, even for the people of the Niger Delta. Despite all these huge revenues these states collect, at the end of the day, there is nothing. Right. Yes. Now let's go back. A state like Delta should be like the Dubai of Nigeria, Akwa Ibom State.
Is it based on what they've gotten from
exactly. The NDDC? So they are getting so much, and now they come to NDDC, they want to grab everything. It's not fair. That's what I'm saying. And the management of NDDC, what is the premise? I've been asking, what is the perimeter for the computation they have done? It is not in the law. Where is it coming from? You cannot import into a law what the lawmaker has not provided. If the lawmaker, that is the National Assembly that enacted the NDDC Act, recently they did an amendment. So we have NDDC Act 2003 as amended. They did an amendment. If the lawmakers are the wise men, they make the law for the country. If they find it necessary, they will have inserted that provision in the NDDC Act that, sharing of who get what, when and how will be based on crude oil production, their contribution to crude oil production of each member state. But it is not there. So if it is not there, you cannot import what is not in the law and begin to implement it, you begin to apply it. That you are behaving in a very capricious, in a very whimsical and arbitrary manner, and it's unconstitutional and illegal.
But a lot of people have also had misgivings when you look at the NDDC and how it has been managed over the years. Would you say there's been enough impact?
No.
I mean, it's one thing to ask for more, but when the more comes, has there been impact?
The law is very progressive. They were very kind enough to say, look, we have been crying over the years. Niger Delta states, they have been crying over the years. You know, if some people even lost their lives. You remember Ken Saro-Wiwa?
Yes.
Spearheaded, you know, the struggle, you know, the advocacy for Niger Delta states to receive fair treatment from the from Nigeria, and we saw it in the NDDC Act, you know. But what have we done with this NDDC Act or NDDC that they have been given to us for the past 23 years?
Right.
We are not talking about North, Southwest, because they used to accuse, oh, the North is maltreating us. The North has given you, the Southwest, they have given you something now. What have you done with that something? That's my question. You are even showing discrimination
between yourselves.
Yes, between yourself, you know, which is, I mean, it's unpardonable. Because if you come to the politics of, fighting for Niger Delta, there's no way you will put Cross River State aside. You will use Cross River to fight, to help you. And we all join hands to advocate that the state, now oil producing states should be given a fair deal. And they are giving us a fair deal. Now you are singling out Cross River State. Oh, Cross River State is not producing oil yet, so we are going to give what we like. That's an insult.
It may be, yes. But I don't know if you stumbled on that news article where Chief Edwin Clark, the leader of the Pan-Nigeria Delta Forum, Niger Delta Forum, had called on the president to remove Abia, Imo, and Ondo from the Niger Delta Development Commission. I
don't agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, because if you are talking about the Ijaw people, the Ijaw people are in Ondo. Yes, the largely people are Ijaw people. That part of Nigeria is part of the Western Delta. You know, that used to be Western Nigeria. You know, Edo and Delta, they used to be part of Western Nigeria. And it was only in 1964, the mid-Western state was carved out of Western Nigeria. Understand? So, if you say that you want Ondo to be severed from the NDDC Act, I mean, I'm very disappointed coming from Chief Edwin Clark, who is the leader of the Ijaw ethnic nationality in Nigeria. He shouldn't say that, because what of the Ijaws in Ondo? Is he saying they are not supposed to enjoy, you know, the money the government has provided to ameliorate ecological challenges arising from oil production or exploration? Also, the same thing, Abia. Abia is part of the Delta, Central Delta, or Eastern Delta, as you may call it. I have mentioned to you that historically, the Niger Delta region is made up of three components: Western Delta, Central Delta, and Eastern Delta. So, if you are saying Abia should be removed, or Imo State, or those states, you are distorting the historical, you know, geographical arrangement that has been there over the centuries.
I just want to point out the many arguments around the Niger Delta.
I don't agree with the argument. I don't agree. Yes, I don't agree. That is selfishness. That is selfishness. And that's what I've been saying. They are just too selfish. Some of the people in the Niger Delta are selfish. Okay? And that's the selfishness they are manifesting by, you know, sidelining a state like Cross River State. Without Cross River State, they can't be Niger Delta. Cross River State is an integral part of Niger Delta, historically, geographically. So if you remove Cross River, there's no Niger Delta.
Right. So is there even a possibility?
You help your brother. You show compassion. If your brother is under stress, like Cross River State is under stress because we lost Bakassi. So I expect our, you know, Ijaw brothers, they are just in Bakassi. Even the remaining part of Bakassi, they are just there. And the Cross River State government take care of them. And then the other part of Ijaw, they don't want to assist or to show empathy to Cross River State. They want to grab everything and put Cross River State under their thumb. We will not allow that.
When people might think you are sounding emotional, and
I'm emotional. I'm a human being. But I've also premised my agreement on law, and law has no place with emotion or sentiments. The law is very clear. I have told you about Section 162 sub 2 of the Constitution, the 13% derivation for oil producing states. I've also put forward before you the NDDC Act, and I have submitted that there is no provision in the NDDC Act justifying this low-side allocation of resources.
Okay, so what now? Now you're asking the president, are you going to collaborate with other states like Abia?
Well, if they want to collaborate with Cross River State government, because I'm urging the government of Cross River State to go to court. So if the court says, well, they are right, fine. But I think this injustice should be challenged, and I urge Imo State and Abia to join forces with Cross River State.
Okay, so but should they not?
That is our own cup of tea. But I, as a Cross Riverian, I will keep on advocating for Cross River State, and I will advise my government to go to court. If Imo State doesn't want to go, it's up to them. Or Abia.
But a lot of people watching you right now would ask, have you reached out to the management of the NDDC, those that have the discrepancies, the prerogative to do as it pleases them?
I am not a private person.
You're an activist and one that is talking for
I have spoken, I've granted interviews, so I think they should avail themselves of what I have said,
But have you been intentional about reaching out to the management to say this is an injustice?
No, I mean,
you're a chieftain. You can't.
No. I don't have any business. I mean, dealing with the money. I'm not representing Cross River State. I am talking as a private person. But so I have made a lot of agreements. I think they should be interested in what people say about NDDC. It's a public institution. They read papers. They go to internet. They hear the news. They should be interested. When somebody mentions NDDC, they have a PRO department. They should draw, the attention of the relevant authorities of.
And how is your governor taking this? Is he finding it as important?
I'm not a spokesperson for the governor.
Well, I should expect you've also reached out to your governor.
Well, I have spoken publicly, and I believe the governor has read it. What I have said, since last week, I've been on this, so the governor should be interested.
Right.
Yes, on what I've been saying, because he is feeling the pinch. He is running the state. I'm not running the state. So what I've said, all my arguments, they should interest the governor. And his press secretary, his media people should draw his attention to what I have said. I don't need to reach out to him, but I have been saying this. I believe his media people have drawn his attention to what I have been saying.
Okay, so what's the best case scenario you're looking up to with all the campaign and all the things you've been doing?
Well, the budget is unconstitutional. Maybe the budget should go back, because maybe some people are going to challenge the budget if it is signed into law, and on the ground that it is unconstitutional, and doing that will be detrimental to the entire 9 oil producing states. Because if they go to court, then you cannot do anything about that budget. You have to hold on until the court makes a pronouncement, and holding on will cause a lot of hiccups.
Because all the projects that
exactly.
implemented.
So I expect the Niger and the management to quickly maybe meet with the government of Cross River State and start a discussion. Otherwise, people will go to court. People will go to court. It's a public institution. All of us have local standing to question why they are spending public money. So that is it.
So while you are at this, how they are spending public money, have you also thought about those budgets and the implementation of those projects? Because sometimes we see duplicated projects.
Well, I'm not even looking at the nitty-gritty of the budget, the intricacies of the budget, the mechanics of the budget. We are talking about allocation. Let us deal with the allocation first.
Right. Before you
what justification do you have to give us 16 billion naira projects when you have 900 billion to spend, and you give a state 16 billion, and then other states have 5 times what you have given to that state. It's unfair.
It is unfair.
Yes, it is.
However, we roll our eyes whenever we hear the Niger Delta Commission, because so it's riddled with so much corruption.
Exactly.
Over the years.
It is corruption. What they are doing against cross-river state is corruption.
Okay, yes. That's in your words.
Yeah, however, corruption is not only stealing money.
Right.
If when you don't do things appropriately, as prescribed by the law, the law has prescribed, that all the states, all the 9 states should be treated equally, and now you are perpetuating discrimination against one of the states on the ground that is not producing oil. Who told you that it's not producing oil? Where are you getting that from? When the Lord did not say share this thing based on oil production.
But shouldn't it also concern you the impact of some of these monies? I mean, following the money to know that indeed when this money comes, we were looking at this project, it is delivered.
Well, maybe it's an eye-opener. We are now seeing the capriciousness, the arbitrary nature of doing things in NDDC. That will arouse the consciousness of everybody from the Niger Delta. And we have been seeing all this money, trillions every year, and nothing is on ground. So it's not only Cross River State. Even people from the states that are receiving jumbo projects, they should know if these projects are really on ground or if they are just phantom projects awarded to make some people have money.
Okay. Well, having said this, I must thank you for being part of the program. But if for those watching you right now, what would be your parting thoughts to them? Well,
my parting is, look, we should do things properly. The problem we have in Nigeria is the aversion to obeying the law, cutting corners. If we obey the law, everything will be easy for us in Nigeria. If there is a law has prescribed a procedure for doing something.
Right.
You cannot use another procedure that is not contemplated or envisaged by that law. You have to follow the procedure that is laid down by that law. And if you do that, everything will be, it was seamless. But when you try to cut corners, you make things to be complicated. Everything is complicated in Nigeria. Simple things. Yes, because we don't like to follow the law. Our elites don't want to follow the law. And it is the elites who needs the law. Because if they continue to undermine the law, then the masses, one day they will take to the streets. Okay, it will be anarchy. So the law is put there to prevent anarchy. Okay, so that life is does not become shortish, brutish, and nasty, as Thomas Hobbes propounded. That if you don't have law, if you have the rule of might, if it is really supreme, life will become shortish, nasty, and brutish. And then the society will disintegrate. So to prevent Nigeria from disintegration is to obey the law. Our leaders at various levels should obey the law and do what the law has put forward before them. To his the way of governance. Because the law is the way of governance. Governance is not easy. Exactly. Human beings are very difficult to deal with, but the law is there. So if you follow the law, it will be very, very easy for you to deal with society. Okay,
Obol, Obon-Obla, Okoi rather. Obol, Okoi, Obon-Obla, thank you so much for being part of the program. I like this activism in you. It's been a long time.
Yes, I mean, thank you.
Gone are the days when you need to be.
Please pronounce my name. And
I apologize.
I will take you to court.
Okay,
because it's a very common name.
Now you're hitting home. I think it's the font I rotate with. It's the font I rotate with. Obol, Okoi, Obon-Obla. Thank you again for being part of the program, and I hope that the powers that be listen to you and the right thing is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. It's a pleasure.
This is it for Joy Asonye Live today. We'll be back tomorrow with so much more, but have a wonderful evening today. My name is Joy Asonye.